Everyone, here's Nick with a new video. So in this video, I use my Gudra, which I really spent a lot of time setting its moveset and training it. Also, I use my Honchkrow, which I've been using a lot lately, since Dark type is more effective now that it isn't resisted by Steel type. Also, I get to use my Sylveon, which proves to be a very resistant wall, and also Tentacruel, which is a great special wall. So my opponent in this battle is a friend of mine, and he sends as his lead to Hariyama. I think he was expecting me to send out my Aggron, but after I saw my opponent had a Hariyama, I couldn't choose Aggron as a lead because I thought it will get KO after close combat. I thought it would get KO after close combat, or after two close combat. So I sent out Sylveon, which I knew could easily take off that Hariyama. So Hariyama gets passive damage by its own poisoning, and Sylveon gets a lot of damage from that bullet punch. Amazingly, Sylveon KOs Hariyama by using Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice in Sylveon is really strong, and it kept recovering damage by its leftovers. And my opponent sends out Eyelash. After that, it starts setting some Sword Dance, which there wasn't a lot I could do against that Eyelash. So I sent out my Aggron, trying to set some Stealth Rock. Eyelash went straight for the Sacred Sword. I was expecting Eyelash to go for another Sword Dance. And finally, Eyelash gets to KO my Aggron after a crit from Sacred Sword. So I sent out Honchkrow, knowing and expecting my opponent to do not Sucker Punch, Shadow Sneak. And I knew Honchkrow could easily resist it by its Dark type. Anyway, my opponent switched out and sent Florges, and I really didn't want to waste my Honchkrow against Florges because I knew Florges could zero hit KO him by doing Moonblast. So I switched and sent out Tentacruel, which easily resisted that Moonblast. Finally, Ampharos came back, and I really didn't expect that Florges would die after a Brave Bird. That's why I preferred to switch out. And there wasn't much Tentacruel could do to Ampharos, so I sent out my Sylveon, expecting Ampharos to Mega Evolve. Finally, Ampharos went for the Light Screen, which was really weird, and Thunderbolt dealt a lot of damage to my Sylveon. So there wasn't much I thought I could do with Sylveon now, more than expect Wish to recover its damage. And finally, Wish recovered Sylveon's damage. My opponent sent back Eyelash, and there wasn't much Sylveon could do to Eyelash, so I switched out and sent Gudra. So my Gudra had Earthquake, and it could easily KO Eyelash after switching its form. But no, I went for Dragon Tail. After that, Eyelash switched form and went for the Shadow Sneak. So I knew Gudra had its attack drop. And after that, I attacked Eyelash with Earthquake. Finally, my opponent switched and sent out Donphan. I did the Earthquake and didn't deal a lot of damage to that Donphan. After that, Donphan went for Ice Shard, which dealt a lot of damage to my Gudra. And I think my opponent wasn't expecting it, but my Gudra had Draco Meteor, which finally KO'd Donphan. And what's really weird, I didn't expect my Gudra to KO that Donphan after Draco Meteor. Finally, Florges came back, and with so much status drop, I needed to switch my Gudra out. Finally, Tentacle came back, and Florges went for the wish. So Florges could recover damage after the wish, but anyway, I attacked. And Angeles came back, which was really what I expected. And I was expecting to get the burn, but I didn't, and Angeles recovered his damage. And Angeles was really a threat against my team. Angeles was really a threat against my team, because there wasn't much I could do to it. Finally, Angeles started setting sword dance, and I kept doing Scald with Tentacle, expecting to get a burn. After that, Angeles does another sword dance, and in that way, I was already really worried. What will I do to that Angeles? So I sent out Gudra for letting it faint already, because there wasn't much Gudra could do anyway. Finally, Gudra faint, and I sent out Infinite. So I needed to get rid of that Eyelash as fast as I could, because it was really a threat for my team. So I went straight for the Fire Punch. I could predict that King Chill, but really I didn't want to risk the attack that my Infinite could do. After that, I finally get to do Fire Punch to Eyelash, and Eyelash faints. After Eyelash faints, my opponent sent out Latias, and my Infinite was still useful, so I switched and sent out my Sylveon, and Sylveon took that energy ball like a wall, like a real wall. Finally, my opponent switched and sends out Florges again, and there's no Lone Berry that could cure Florges from poison right now. So I did a wish expecting to recover some damage, and there wasn't much Florges could do anyway. After that, I switched and sent out my Infinite, expecting Florges to do a wish, but Florges KO'd my Infinite after a Moonblast, and that was really a waste from a switch and from a wish. It was both a waste from a wish and from a switch. Finally, I sent out my Honchkrow and went straight for the Brave Bird, and it easily KO'd that Florges. Finally, my Honchkrow gets some Moxie, which was really useful. And Mega Ampharos came back. Ampharos is still no Mega. So I knew that my opponent was holding a Mega Stone, and then finally it gets to Mega Evolve Ampharos. So I was really scared, because I was expecting Ampharos to KO my Honchkrow with a Thunderbolt, but Ampharos couldn't resist that Sucker Punch, and my Honchkrow kept getting Moxie. I was really surprised. Honchkrow is really useful with this Sucker Punch. After that, Latias gets some time and does Thunder Wave. Anyway, it was useless. Finally, I get to do Sucker Punch to Latias. So I hope you enjoyed this battle. Please subscribe and leave your comments.